So the next group is the amniotes. So they have a terrestrially adapted egg. The embryo now is covered with a compartment. We call it the amnion. So it is rich in fluid, as you can see here. So here is the embryo, and this embryo is surrounded by the amnion, shown here in blue. So because of that, they are now adapted to live on land, and the living groups of amniotes are represented in the reptiles. So these reptiles include the birds and the mammals. So we have two groups of amniotes, the reptiles and the mammals, and the reptiles include the birds within them. Other adaptation they have evolved is the presence of impermeable skin and the ability to use the rib cage to ventilate the lungs. So as you can see, they have evolved better adaptation to live in dry conditions compared to the amphibians. So the amphibians were depending on the presence of water, were dependent on water. Here in the amniotes, number one, their egg is adapted to live on the land because the embryo is surrounded by fluid. Number two, their skin is impermeable, so the loss of water will be minimized. And number three, while the amphibians, they have lungs that were not very efficient, now in the amniotes we have larger lungs. These larger lungs are maintained in rib cage to allow ventilation. So now we don't need the cutaneous gas exchange, and because of that, the skin doesn't need to be continuously moistened with water, meaning that these organisms can live away from water. So this is a major evolutionary step. So as we said, the amniotes include the reptiles and mammals. So starting with the reptiles include the lizards, snakes, turtles, crocodiles, and birds, and extinct dinosaurs. They have scales that cover their body in order to prevent water loss, so they create a waterproof barrier. We will see in the next slide that these scales are built up of keratin protein, and they lay egg. These eggs are shelled as well, so they lay egg on land. So as another adaptation, so we mentioned in the previous slide that the presence of the amnion supports the embryo and protect it and provide the fluid for the embryo. Number two, the presence of the shell is allowing the deposition of these eggs on land, because now they are protected with the shells in addition to the amnion. Moving on to the birds, which is a group within the reptiles. So what are the derived characteristics of birds? So they have many adaptations that allow them for flying. Number one, the wings. So they have keratin feathers, and as we said, the reptiles, the scales of the reptiles were also made up of keratin, so we can think of the feather as modified scales. In addition of that, there is the lack of urinary bladder, having one ovary in females, the loss of teeth, the small gonads. So any feature decreasing the weight of the bird will be advantageous. So as you can see, instead of having a urinary bladder and collecting fluid in this urinary bladder, this was removed to decrease the weight. Also having only one ovary, the loss of teeth, having small gonads, and in addition of that, having these hollow bones. So all the features, as you can see, they serve in decreasing the weight of the birds. So in this slide, we are showing that the feather of the birds, they are composed of keratin. Similar to the scales of reptiles, they are also composed of keratin. So moving on to the last group, we have the mammals. So the mammals are amniotes that have hair and produce milk. So these are two characteristics of mammals. They have mammary glands that produce milk, they have hair, they have larger brain, and they have differentiated teeth. So mammals, they are characterized by high level of metabolic activities. So because of that, they use the hair to regulate their body temperature. And if we compare mammals to other vertebrates of similar size, we'll find that the brain of the mammals are usually bigger and larger, and this means that a lot of information processing and interaction with the environment is taking place in mammals. Also, they have differentiated teeth, so teeth of different characteristics serving different functions in order to allow the mammals to use different types of food and nutrition. So for example, we have teeth for tearing and ripping, we have teeth for chewing or grinding, and we have others for cutting. And as you can see, it allows us to diversify our nutritional sources. So at the end of this video, I will show you this slide, which summarizes all the previous groups. So please go through it, make sure that you know the characteristic features of each group and use it while you are studying, because it will summarize things and help you to connect the concepts together. Thank you so much. Please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.